Hello there once again, everyone. My name's Kagami, and I don't think we're going to have any more sound problems, I hope. As I said in my last episode, I will say again, and probably for the next episode as well, I broke part of my headphones, and now they're starting to act up a little bit. And Windows Movie Maker is acting up, which I used to combine all my parts, and yada yada, editing, mumbo-jumbo, technical stuff. But we're in a library, so let's read up on it, because that's what you do in a library, and we're reading up on something. So they just found a chess book, and now we found it, and she has it, and we're going on. Sure, I just haven't really played against anyone but Lily before, so I thought, damn, it's not like I was trying to beat Hanako deliberately or anything, but she seems to have taken it to heart. Then again, at least this means she wants to play me again. That's a plus, right? Ha! Well, it's not like I'm a master or anything, I just played a bit before. It occurs to me that I haven't told Hanako about my condition. I falter for a second, deciding to cover my tracks. This is a conversation for another day, before I came here. Are you alright? Yeah, I was just remembering something. When I think about it, I shouldn't be afraid to tell Hanako about my condition and my time in the hospital. Judging by her scars, she probably spent a fair amount of time in a hospital bed. But for some reason, I can't bring it up, at least not today, and not on short notice. Eager to break off the conversation, I grab a random book from the shelf. It's some book on the world's fastest roller coaster, published in 1982. Well, it's not very up to date, but it should at least be interesting. Well, we both got books now. Should we go sit down? Hanako seems to escape my bluff, and we head to the reading nook in the back of the library. Neither of us say a word. We simply open our books and start reading. I try to read my book, but it would seem that in 1982, roller coasters weren't nearly as large as the ones built in the decades since. Most of the ones listed are made of wood. Something about that doesn't seem safe to me. If I'm going to ride on something potentially dangerous, I want it to be made out of metal or some kind of space-age alloy that has big words like titanium and ruthenium. I quickly lose interest, and my eyes wander across the reading area to rest on Hanako. Hanako seems absorbed in her book, flicking back and forth through the pages as if confirming what she just read. I wonder if that's actually effective or if it's just overloading herself. She unconsciously brushes her hair from her face, temporarily revealing her scar tissue. I'm still not sure about the protocol here. Is it right to ask her about the scars or her past? How long was she in the hospital? Does she still visit a doctor? These all seem like the questions that you'd ask someone who just transferred to your school, translate into the local language. But to date, no one has directly asked me of them. Well, except Reen, but I don't think I should use her as a guide to proper social behavior. For the time being, I'll just keep my mouth shut. If someone wants you to know something, then they'll tell you. Trying to force the issue might drive Hanako back into herself. Sorry to interrupt, but I have to close the library now. Already? I checked my watch. Somehow I was lost in thought. Nearly 2 hours have passed. Do you want to check out those books? I can do it on the way out. Please. I'm done. I'll drop this one back on the way through. It wasn't as interesting as I first thought. Hanako marks her place with a slip of paper and stands up. The girls head to the counter, and I return my book to what I think is the right shelf. Yuko scans Hanako's book with practiced precision, yet still manages to fumble it. Oh, there you go. Third time's lucky. Since this is a non-fiction book, you can only have it for a week. That's okay. Yuko shuts down the library's computers and heads out the door. I didn't think it was this late already. Well, you're the one who told us we had to close. Yes, but I know that. Yes, but I know, but that was before I looked at the time. I'll see you later. Yuko bolts down the hall, handbag trailing behind her like an awkward streamer. I guess all librarians really are neurotic. Huh? Never mind. I was just thinking that I've never met a librarian who can organize their time, no matter how good they are with their books. Oh, I know what you mean. Hanako smiles in amusement. It wasn't meant to be a joke, but it must have reminded her of some other librarians or something. I have to get back. Yeah, me too. I didn't realize it was this late. Thanks for letting me hang out with you. No problem. I'm going to my dormitory room now anyway, so do you mind if I tag along? Okay. Hanako sets off ahead of me, and I need to jog a little to reach her side. We walk through the gardens, eventually arriving in front of the dorm building. Man, you walk pretty fast. I used to play in a soccer club, and you managed to outpace me. I kind of regret saying that. It has less to do with her pace than with the fact that my condition has significantly worsened my fitness. Hanako's reaction is odd. I expected an awkward attempt at downplaying her walking speed, but she just blushes while looking at her feet and smiling. Oh, that's adorable. Silence hangs in the air between us. That happens often around Hanako, but feels slightly different than usual this time. After a few seconds, I try to break the silence. Here you go. See you in class tomorrow. Sure. Hanako waves a short goodbye before pushing her way through the dorm's doors. I stand and look at them for a while before making my way to my own dormitory room. We've made another milestone of Katawa Shoujo! Da 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 da! Chirping birds. Normally this would be a good time to reflect upon the beauty of nature, but it's 6 a.m. Covering my head with a pillow, I slam my face into the mattress, hoping that the impact will send me instantly back to sleep. Futile. I toss and turn, but sleep simply won't return to me. Alright, nature, you've won. See, I'm getting up now. The lack of sleep weighs my mind down, and there's only one remedy for this, a nice hearty breakfast. It would be nice to be the first person here, but to be the first to dig into a piling hot pile of food, to sit wherever I desire, it would have been nice, but even my exceptionally early start has put me behind the most diligent students. Guess there are quite a few people here that have early starts here for one reason or another. A group of students in sports clothes huddle around one table, eagerly discussing game plans in between inhaling great gulps of food. Scattered around the hall are a number of bleary-eyed students, probably suffering from the same ailment as myself, noisy birds. And of course, there's a lot of people who actually enjoy getting up this early, the ones that with their bags stuffed with textbooks and completed homework. That was never me in school. It's hard not to despise people like that, even more so when you're tired yourself. Picking out a familiar face from the thin crowd, I head towards the nearest table. Lily sits alone, delicately feeling her way around a small plate of eggs with her fork. It's almost a shame to interrupt her and her clockwork movement. I wonder, is this how a blind person zones out, simply moving in predetermined patterns, learned over the years, just like how a sighted person would eat while reading a newspaper? Good morning, Lily. I didn't expect you to be here this early. Oh, Hiseo, you startled me. I didn't know you took breakfast this early. I don't. This is an exception. This is an exception to the rule. I greatly prefer to be late to school than early to breakfast. Lily gives a small sigh at my admitted tardiness as I begin eating my food. It doesn't take long for her to lapse back into her previous mindless nibbling. Each short motion lacks energy. I suppose this is similar to letting your eyes wander while performing any ordinary chore. But after a few repetitions of the find food, eat food cycle, Lily puts her fork down and dabs her lip with a napkin. Hiseo, do you mind if I ask you a question? Damn it. All I want is a little food and about 4 hours of sleep. And nobody says, can I ask you a question for a simple question? Sure. Do you think of Hanako as a friend? Huh? This seems like a leading question. I guess so. Why do you ask? No real reason. I do have another question, though. Why is it that you think of her as a friend? This is well above my level. What is she expecting from me? I'm not really sure. I guess it's because she's a little different in the way she deals with people? Since I've known her, she hasn't really connected with anyone. She doesn't seem interested in other people, and I think people are a little scared off by her appearance. Really? I thought that kind of thing was, well, discouraged here. Discriminating and such. If I were to put it one way, she furrows her brow in thought, a move like makes me slightly anxious as to what she's plucking from her mind. I'd say that you're a little naive. Naive? I'd be insulted if not for the slightly cynical grin on her face. I see. While Yamaku has a stronger sense of community compared to other schools, it's far from being free of conflict. Rules cannot remove human nature. After all, only suppress it. That's something I've noticed actually. Just little things like how certain people in cliques avoid each other in the hallways. It's no different than my old school, really. Even Lily and Shizune could be considered bitter rivals, and though they both seem like fairly accepting people, well, at least the Misha-tinted Shizune does. Who knows what actually goes on with her fingers and behind her glasses. I guess you're right, but when I first came here, everything was a bit of a shock. I kept on making mistakes, or at least thinking I was making mistakes, like when we first met and I said, "I see," to you. I didn't know if that was considered rude or anything, so I tried to just put it in the back of my mind, treating people any different than that kind of thing. So I didn't. I told myself that Hanako and you and everyone else were just normal, and I tried to ignore the obvious. I talked to Hanako as if she were any other person, and so we became friends. At least that's how I think it happened. But you know, I feel guilty just from saying something like that aloud. As if it took extra effort to think of Hanako or you or anyone here as normal people. I don't think that's right. Hiseo, I think you are naive, but I also think that you're a good person. It is perhaps one of your better traits. I suppose I can take that as a compliment? Tell me, are you free tonight? If you don't count homework, then I'm free as the breeze. In that case, would you care to join myself and Hanako for tea? I don't really have that much money at the moment, so going out isn't really... Oh, I didn't mean going out. Just here, this evening. You can access the classrooms in the evening here? No, that's not what I meant. Hanako and I often use my room for tea parties together. Please feel free to drop by after dusk. Sure, I see no problem with that. What's your room number? 225, room 25 on the 2nd floor. Okay, sure. Well, then I'd best be off. I have class representative duties to attend to after all. Until this evening, Hiseo. Yeah, catch you later. Tea party time! Hang on, was I just invited to a girl's room after hours? Is that even allowed? There is a curfew here, but I've never heard any rules about visiting visitors in the dorm rooms. Even still, this is enough to get my sleep-deprived brain jump-started. Add that to a lukewarm breakfast, and you have one hell of a pick-me-up. I grudgingly go to class, still a little excited at the prospect of breaking the rules. I feel a little like a kid planning to sneak out of his window at night. Well, maybe that's going a little too far, but when you compare an invitation to a party to 6 or so hours of lectures, I know which one wins. Misha and Shizune do little to relieve my boredom either. For one, they seem determined to actually complete Muto's assignment. Nevertheless, the day eventually winds to a close. I hurry back to my room to wash up and comb my hair. Thankfully, I don't run into Kenji. Oh, thank God. Before long, I'm leaving the boys' dorm. I nervously rap on the door marked 225, checking my watch once again. Is that you, Hiseo? The door is open. You can come in. Lily's voice lits through the door and soothes my nerves. This is the first time I've been invited to a girl's room after dark. Even though I know there is no ulterior motives behind this invitation, it doesn't stop my mind running wild with possibilities. One guy, 2 girls, in a dorm room with a tea set. Okay, this kind of threw it all off with a tea set. When I put it like that, it sounds pretty dodgy. Given a small sigh to steady myself, I gingerly put my hand on the handle to open the door, craning my head to see inside. Oh my God, they're both adorable. The door opens completely and I catch my first glimpse of Lily's room. Her furniture looks almost antique, but the bare walls and flat surfaces are barely decorated at all. In the center of the room sits a low table where I can see a small tea set at rest. It seems that everything in the room has its place, possibly excepting the several piles of books stacked up against the wall. My sense of vision isn't the only one to be simulated. The faint smell of something could be picked up from the air. Nail polish, perfume, makeup. It's hard to describe in any other word, It's hard to describe in any other than girly. My eyes finish their quick sweep of the room before returning their position to the girls. Lily sits next to the small table wearing a very dark blue pajamas with shorts that show off plenty of her alluring pale legs. Opposite her, Hanako sits adorned in her conservative light pink gown. Her hands are firmly fixed between her legs, her shoulders forward and her head down, as if trying to hide herself in it. It would be easy for her to do. It looks about 2 sizes too big for her. Waves of flannel flow from her frame, making it look like a child playing dress-up in her parents' pajamas. She looks up to confirm identity, and then beginnings of a thin smile creep across her face, before vanishing so fast I can't be sure they were ever there. There's no point in standing in the doorway, Hiseo. I take a step into the room, closing the door behind me. They're adorable, and we'll continue this in the next episode of Katawa Shoujo, and it will be episode 22. Let's see if I got that right. But as always, have a fantastic evening. Like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Favorite. I think I already said that. Share, comment, subscribe. I don't know. I think that's everything. But as always, have a fantastic evening. And I'm going to hit the stop record button right now.